let's take two here. Did I give you the answer to the bell ringer?
No.
What is the answer? 254. Hey, 254 newtons. 254 newtons.
Yes,
Newtons. Here, you want some tea with that?
Kramer, guess what? I told my thing and I dropped this class.
What?
No, you didn't.
Do you see how hurt he was right there?
No, I'm a good liar. I dropped this class.
Okay, but you begged for Jessie to stay, and then she drops it, and then you're like...
Because she actually thinks about dropping it. You're not actually being serious.
Jesse, you actually think about dropping it? I take zoology.
How do you know?
That is the most offensive thing you can ever say to me. You can't offend me anymore than say, I'm dropping your class to take zoology.
The easiest class in this school.
No, I know.
I'm dropping chemistry. Any level.
So this particular part is actually has to do with simple machines, which why would that have anything to do with the Goldberg machine?
Because we're making simple machines for simple minds for a simple project.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, simple A. Oh, please, no. Don't show that. I saw it.
Okay, so you guys, this is really quite very much a review from physical science. We did spend a considerable time in physical science talking about simple machines, but really what a machine does is really just modifies the force one of two ways, either by changing how much force is required or by changing the direction of the force. Okay. Most of the time it's modifying how much force you need to apply, but there is one situation that I can think of off the top of my head where it modifies something by changing the direction of the force. Does anybody know which simple machine will change the direction of the force?
Holy. I said it loud.
Okay, that's true. Okay. So then there are 6 simple machines, and I know you probably already looked at your notes, but let's just see if we can kind of call them out one at a time.
Wedge.
Screw.
Lever.
Pulley. I meant to have you raise your hands.
Pulley.
Okay, 1.
Wedge.
2.
Inclined plane.
3.
Screw.
4.
Lever.
Is that set already?
No.
Okay, 5.
Nice.
Saw
Wheel and axle.
That's a pulley.
You look.
Yeah, I did. I
So, lever, pulley, inclined plane, wheel and axle, wedge, and screw. You will actually have to use all of these on your Goldberg machine.
Individually or as
You will have to have, what?
Individually or as a whole? The entire thing.
All of
Or is there a little section?
Like everyone's section or something?
Well, we are doing 2 Goldberg machines.
What?
Like we always do.
What?
You will have your own individual ones.
Yeah.
And in your individual ones, you'll need to have 10 simple machines. Okay.
That's 4 more than
That's
that.
fine. Because it's individual?
No, because like it's requirements. Like
Oh, we'll talk about it.
That like creation is.
let's get limiting my
It is. Second semester is more enjoyable. Secondly, after you guys do your individual ones, well, could be individual, could be in a group of 2, depending on what you choose. We will take each of your individual / group projects and we'll put them together into one big project and continue to add pieces as a group. And that'll be your final. But anyways, well, I'll talk about that, I think the first day back or first day of second semester, we'll talk about that. Okay. Now, there are quite a few, there's actually 3 different types of levers. What are they?
First class, second class.
Wasn't it?
It's just first class, second class, third class, okay? So really a lever just is a rigid bar that has a fulcrum and an input and output force. So your first class lever is going to look like this.
Oh, I think I messed this up on my physical science test. I remember you drawing the
We
picture.
literally just have to draw.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Like I got the first class one, but I switched second and third class.
Oh my
So we'll
God.
say this is the resistance arm or resistance force. And there's your effort force.
So you're pulling up?
No.
Oh my word.
Well, yeah, I should probably push down. Yeah, you wouldn't want to push down, that makes no sense. Or pull up. Sorry.
You would never do anything, and you didn't.
Call me a dummy.
You got double weights or something?
Okay, so here's your first class lever. You don't have this in your brain. You might want to write it down. First class lever.
First class.
Do we have 50 for sure?
What the heck is that? What? Smells like. You smell that?
Yeah, it's like some girls using lotion or something.
Lotion.
No, it smells like turd.
Is that right up by Lauren?
For the
Probably by boys.
resistance force. Notice he came closer to us. Oh.
Oh, yeah, it's over there.
For the resistance force.
What's his name?
Might be Jesse. It's gotta be Jesse.
Yes.
Is that supposed to be going down?
It's what?
The resistance.
Yeah, it's probably him.
Yeah, like
Okay,
for example, if I'm trying to lift a rock, like the rock's gonna be down, applying a force there. Okay. Second class lever. You're not on your phone, are you?
Coloring.
That's $10.
$10.
I don't even get how they.
That's immoral activity.
Guys, shush. That is your.
Oh, that really bothered me. You put first and you wrote out second. Yes.
Right there, Rowan.
I smell it now.
I told you it smells like the
It's not. It's like a mix between. Like it's like rotten eggs. Does it smell like rotten eggs?
Yeah, that's gross. I
I
don't
ate an egg this morning.
Well, it wasn't me. I'm all the way back here.
It's your stomach. Your stomach is wrong.
I feel like I'm about to.
Guys, my stomach is.
How about it? Okay, so your second class lever, your resistance is down, your effort is up. Okay, give me an example of this.
A wrench.
What?
No.
A wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
That is literally
A wrench is going to be. Yeah.
A wrench is literally
Yeah,
just like cross
yeah,
lever.
you're right. I was thinking of something else. Yep. So wheelbarrow, wrench.
Wow.
Okay, wheelbarrow, right? You put something in the wheelbarrow and you lift up on the end, and your pivot point is, where the wheel is. Okay.
Is the first class like a teeter tot?
Teeter totter? Yeah. Yeah.
I like how you get top.
Teeter tot.
Teeter tot.
Teeter tot.
A teeter tot. What is it called?
Teeter totter.
Teeter
It was like a
Seesaw.
Okay, if you smell anything else, as I covered it,
This is kind of goofy.
Yeah, I was trying to think of it.
What's kind of
Third would be like, I thought it was like your elbow.
Yep.
Oh, let's go.
Why do you remember everything?
A lot of the joints in your body are third class levers. I don't know. I'd be more impressed if you could remind me what's really the significant difference between a third and first and second.
It's where your effort, fulcrum, and resistance are related to each other. Like where the fulcrum is.
Well, they're all based on the relationship of the forces to the fulcrum. But
How much work they, I don't know.
remember from physical science, it does not change the amount of work you do. It just makes the work easier.
Make the distance long.
I was right.
And so, really, what a third class lever is, because if you think about it, it would be like pushing on the door in the middle. That's harder. Why would you do that? Okay, well, really, the reason why a third class lever is used is because it actually takes more force to use a third class lever than to do something without a third class lever. However, you get more range of motion with a third class lever. So it's more force, but it gives you more distance in return. So the reason why we have such nice range of motion is because we've got these third class levers.
All the way, fourth class lever, right?
Oh, stop!
What'd you do?
Don't do that.
Oh, you meant it back.
Okay, so where should you go, like,
I don't get the third one.
What don't you get?
Like how you can put the effort in the middle and it don't do anything at all.
And what?
It's like pushing
it's
into
like, yeah, pushing into it.
Sorta. I mean, it's kind of goofy to show a third class lever. Let's say that's my resistance, this is my fulcrum, and I would be essentially lifting up in the middle.
That doesn't make sense. I would-
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't make sense outside of being able to have a little bit more range of motion. And I'm not going to go into the little subtleties of that. It's not really where I want to go on in this particular class. Okay, so I want to specifically focus on what?
What class is it?
We talk about it quite often in physical science. We talk about these two things.
Go back.
I don't really want to go back.
That's next year.
We gotta go back.
Please.
Advanced physical.
Now you can have first class levers. If you remember, you can have an advantage, no advantage, or a disadvantage using this.
Oh, and
Oh,
that's
and
why
it's
when
like
you
when you
mechanical, it's just greater than one.
Yeah. So if my fulcrum's right in the middle, I have no advantage. Okay? If my fulcrum is way over here, I have a very high advantage. And if my fulcrum's over here, it's actually more difficult. Imagine having a rock here, the fulcrum here, and you trying to lift the rock
Oh, that's
like that. It would be almost impossible. Okay, so it depends. Now, it's still a first class lever because in all three situations, your fulcrum's in the middle. Okay? So there is 3 different types you can get here. With this, no matter what, you always get an advantage. There's no way you can have a second class lever without getting an advantage because I have to have the resistance in between the two. So I can move the effort this way to about here, but I can't go past it. You know, I can move the resistance, but at any given time, you will have a longer effort arm than resistance arm. And if you remember the distance principle, okay, force is lower if you do that force over a larger distance. Okay? And so you have a larger effort arm than you have resistance arm, and so it makes the effort force easier. That's why we use wheelbarrows, because it's a lot easier to roll something in a wheelbarrow than to carry it in our arms.
So if you glued something at like the front end of the wheelbarrow, it'll be easier to move than something towards the front of the wheelbarrow.
Say that again?
Like, that's something in a wheelbarrow. This is the front wheel and that's where you're carrying it. If it was like here, it would be easier to carry it.
Yep. Okay. So then we can figure out how much of an advantage we will get 2 ways. The first way would be to just figure out how much force you have to put in versus how much force you have to get out, or how much force you get out. What I mean by putting in and putting out would be like the weight of the object if you had it in a wheelbarrow. Okay? The force in would be how much you would have to apply to lift it. And it should be, for a wheelbarrow case, less force to lift it in a wheelbarrow than to lift it without a wheelbarrow. Okay? There's another way, and that's D, and D is our lever arm. If you remember from physical science, again, your lever arm is your distance from the fulcrum to either your resistance or your effort. Okay, so in this case, gosh, I'm trying to remember which is in and out now in this case. Probably, yeah. Okay? And again, we're going to disregard friction And here's kind of the main idea. There's no such thing as a perfectly efficient simple machine because you can't perfectly transfer energy or usable energy. What I mean by that is in anything that you do, the friction's going to lose some of the energy is going to be lost in the form of friction or sound or you name it. Okay, so there is no perfectly 100% efficient machine. Okay? Now, they've got things that are fairly efficient, but there's no 100% efficient machine because of entropy and things like that. Okay. Again, this is just talking about an inclined plane. We spent a ton of time talking about this in physical science. So here's an inclined plane and how it is used. Okay. It's interesting that the boxes are different.
Those are just on a wheel.
It's on a trailer.
Well, it's the back of a truck.
Oh, it is about to
there
change.
you go.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So the visual would be better if these boxes were the same boxes. Anyway, so the point they're trying to say is, if you take this box and you lift it directly in the truck, you're moving it that much distance. Okay? But if you take and you increase the distance you move the box, you actually it requires less force to do so.
So the distance principle is just a right triangle, and you're using the resultant vector.
Everything's a triangle!
Vertical components.
Not everyone is going to need to do that. I kind of already talked about this. Sorry, quiet. Alright, I did already talk about this idea of efficiency. Now, here's the thing with efficiency. This will be the easiest way for you to remember how to do efficiency problems. We're not going to go through a problem either, just one number and another number, less difficult stuff. Okay? But you will never have efficiency be what? 100% or above. Okay? So if you're worried about what the in and the out is, just think about what number would I have to put on top and bottom to give me less than 100.
A smaller number on top, a larger number on bottom.
Okay? Mathematically, and it should make sense. You're going to get less work out than you put in because you're going to lose some energy in the form of other things. Okay? So it just needs to be less than, this would be less than 1, I should say that, not 100. One is referring to 100. So you could take that and multiply by 100 and get your percent. Okay, so if you wanted to put a times 100 in there, you absolutely could. I think that's the last slide.
That is the last slide.
Official. Alright.
My note card is fully filled.
That's true.
And for no card parts for next semester.
Dude.
Kind of flip, gravity.
Oh, I thought it was one actually.